Welcome in on what we hope will be a thunderless Thursday. The rain is supposed to continue, that is for sure. But severe weather not supposed to be so severe. That's the good news. I hope you survived the storm without any damage. I know there are many people in our listening audience, in our total market range, that did suffer damage. There was a path between Jonesboro and Blytheville, I guess it even went over 55, that is just terrible. Monette, Lake City, a lot of disastrous destruction from tornadoes. I think I heard, and I was watching Action News 5 last night a lot. That weather team stayed up the whole night, I believe. Incredible. But I believed I heard, it might have been Patrick Ellis, the meteorologist, who made the statement when the tornado hit at Lake City, it was, maybe eighth of a mile in width. By the time it hit, or in Monette, by the time it hit Lake City, it was like a half a mile wide. I don't know how you can escape or how you survive a half a mile wide tornado. Thank God it ran through and it didn't just dwell, but, there are people without homes and a lot of damage. Scary, scary stuff for sure.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers go out to all of those affected and those who continue to be affected into today. As someone whose hometown has been devastated by a tornado no less than 2 years ago.
Where are you from?
I'm from Covington, Tennessee, about an hour north of here.
Mm.
And schools are still being rebuilt. Businesses, factories are still in the process of being rebuilt. So just knowing personally how damaging this can be and how long it takes to recover, I am very empathetic for all of those who are who have been displaced or have been affected by these storms.
Yeah, I saw this morning there was it was an eye-opening little segment on the morning news. Again, it was Channel 5, where I'm not sure where in Arkansas it was. It may have been in the area that I'm talking about earlier. I was chatting about between Lake City and Monette. There was a 90-something-year-old man disoriented who I think had escaped this. He had come back to his house, and the reporter basically, "How old are you?" He goes, "I'm 97, or I've been here 97 years," which means he either lived in that house or in that town for 97 years. He was a well-preserved 97-year-old man. And during the middle of it, the reporter, whose name escapes me at the moment, the reporter basically said, "How can I help you? Hold on a second. Let me finish my live piece here, and I'm going to help you." And it really warmed my heart that this reporter realized midway through this thing, this guy's a little disoriented. I got to help him, and I'm going to end this thing right here. We've given you enough for the moment, and let's see what we can do with this guy. It was very moving. And you're right. The after effects. I don't. I was listening to somebody who said, 2 years ago this happened to me. Every time it rains and there's lightning, I have a different feeling than I used to. Is that how you are, Elijah?
To an extent, yes. It's kind of jarring, even still to this day.
Well, again, thoughts and prayers, as you well said, and it's going to be wet today again. There's no hiding that. We're going to get that. We're going to get rain all the way through Sunday, at least till midway Sunday. So, but let's just hope that there is no more severe weather like we saw last night. That was pretty incredible, the lightning strikes and everything else, the wind, the hail that went with it. Let's just hope that is over.
Yes, most definitely.
All right, there is sort of a storm as we transition. Not to take it lightly, but this thing, the league is now looking into the shooting guns gesture that Ja Morant made toward the Golden State bench and Buddy Hield in the game the other night at FedEx Forum in a classic game that now it seems to me is a bit tainted. Buddy Hield did the same thing right back at Ja. Ja actually had a picture of it and put it up there sort of to defend himself, to say, hey, This is a lot of people are doing this. I think in the past, Steph Curry has had the gun thing. I think Tommy. Somebody from the Knicks. I don't think it was Brunson. Might have been
Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges. He's done the same gesture. There is a columnist. Used to be with a Chicago paper. Now he's out of L.A. And I don't think he's necessarily. I'm sure if he's syndicated. What his deal is, but he's a good writer. His name is Jay Mariotti. So Jay Mariotti has put out on some streaming social media thing that Josh should be banned for the year and maybe further for all of this. And I'm thinking to myself, and we're going to talk with Pete Pranica, who should be in Miami as the Grizz get set to play the Heat tonight, and they're, by the way, favorites in the game. I'm going to ask him a little bit about this. To me, Jay Mariotti and the Jay Mariottis of the world, instead of taking on John Morant for this gesture, which I guess is unneeded. There's probably another way you can say in your face, I've done this, it's a 3, whatever. There's probably a better way. But my gosh, why not write about the stuff that Draymond Green gets away with, playing dirty in the name of winning, constantly barking at officials so that he can get the next call, even though he knows darn well he committed the foul or played dirty or whatever it might be. Why not take a look at that instead of just a simple little gesture that basically is poor sportsmanship? I give you that. Ja and several of this era are guilty of very poor sportsmanship. Maybe that's part of this culture for this thing. Maybe I'm now an old dude who doesn't get that. But that's what he's guilty of. My goodness, to say he should be suspended for that is absolutely ridiculous. If you want to fine him, go ahead. Maybe that'd stop him. If you say, hey, next time you do that, it's $20,000 this time. Next time it's 50. Next time it's 100, and it's going up. He'll stop doing it.
Yeah. The thing about this to me is it's just the timing, because we've seen variations of this celebration throughout the league, like you said, over the past really 10 years or so. It's just so interesting that it's coming out now. And I guess the fact that it was directed towards players on an opposing team's bench, I guess that's the main attraction to why it's, such a big point of emphasis now.
So that's taunting, okay? That is not grounds for being suspended.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Let's get a hold of Pete Pranica, and we'll just let you know now the Grizz are in 8th place because the Clippers won last night. So if the playoffs started today, the Grizz would be the 8th seed, and they would be playing the Clippers, and they would not be favored in that game. So they would be the 8th seed, but you really have the same record as number 6 Minnesota. You're half a game behind number 5 Golden State. So there's still plenty of time. As I said, they're in Miami tonight, and then they're favored by 4.5. And it's the obvious thing to say. They have to win this game. They got a game with Charlotte. That's a winnable game. They've probably got to win 4 of the remaining 6 if they want to be a position that is not called play-in.
Yeah, and most of the teams around them outside of, I think, Houston and Denver have easier schedules than them. Minnesota has the easiest schedule remaining in the league, so it'll be a tough final stretch for the Grizzlies.
Let's head to Miami. It's always beautiful to go to South Florida, and the TV voice of the Grizzlies, as he always does on Thursdays, chats with us. So what's the weather like in Miami, my friend? Because it's dark, really, and rainy here for sure.
It's sunny, but it's very, very, very windy. It wasn't pleasant being outside last night because the wind was very strong, but no precipitation. Hopefully everybody back in the Mid-South is safe and sound and able to deal with the weather, because I hear that it's quite bad.
Oh, it was terrible last night in Arkansas, north of us, in a path, say, between Jonesboro and Blytheville, there was a lot of damage done with a huge tornado that came through. So there are some people that were without power and without homes today. So our hearts go out to them for sure. I got to ask you about Ja. I don't know if you've read the Jay Mariotti piece about banning him for the rest of the year and all this. My particular sense is nonsense. If you're really against the kind of gestures that not only Ja, but Buddy Hield in the same game, but players, even Steph Curry, have done throughout the last couple of years, put a fine on it. I don't understand. Do you get a sense Ja's getting picked on? I know he deserves some of the stuff that has come his way before, but I thought he's been a pretty good citizen this year. I wouldn't criticize him for that at all. I'm not a big fan of the look at me gestures when you do what you're paid to do, but maybe a fine, but certainly not a suspension. Your thoughts?
No, I don't know. I think this is a story that, really is overblown. Clearly Ja has brought some of this attention upon himself because of the two earlier suspensions. And so, you put two and two together and he's going to be more in the spotlight on this. But, I really dislike the reporting from Shams Charania with the tweet. The first tweet's all about John Morant. Second tweet is like, oh, by the way, they're talking to Buddy Hield too. Come on. I just don't like the way that it's been presented. Now, having said that, Ja has brought some of this upon himself. But look, I think we had a kid in the NCAA tournament who did like a 3-finger point, and a referee teed him up because he thought it was a gun signal. I think if we're going to crack down, then nobody does it. Okay. Scottie Pippen Jr. has a similar situation. Has a similar gesture when he makes a three. Is that a gun? Is it 3-pointed fingers? What is it? It's like there's more being made of this than there really needs to be. And I think suspension. No, come on, Jay Mariotti. I can give you more credit than that.
No, he's really strong. He's talking about ban him for a while, indefinite for this, basically because of his past history. I do think for whatever reason, Ja has rubbed some of the national media the wrong way. I think they're picking on him. I really do, and I don't quite get it. I don't find Ja to be a bad guy. I don't really know him nearly as well as you, who are on airplanes with him and deal with him and see him at the hotels and maybe the restaurants. But there seems to be a national attitude toward him, I think, portraying him a bit unfairly.
Yeah, I think that the national media is looking for somebody to pick on, and he's an easy target because of his history. So he does become an easy target, and social media is a absolute cesspool right now, and that's where a lot of this is being generated.
All right, we haven't really talked since the big shakeup, the dismissal of Taylor Jenkins. Thomas Solo is now the head coach. Different staff, 2 other guys that were the architects of the offense and the defense dismissed with Jenkins in a crazy last Friday. I don't think you saw it coming. I don't think Taylor Jenkins saw it coming. I'm not 100% certain. Give me your sense of the way this unfolded.
Well, it was a surprise, obviously, to everybody. I think that, people around the NBA were of a mind that, unless Taylor Jenkins and the Grizzlies won a couple of playoff series this year, that, maybe his tenure would be coming to an end. Given the precipitous nature of the Grizzlies' decline, I mean, you go from a 2 seed to an 8 seed, in short order, from the All-Star break, really. That's something that's rather shocking. Again, the timing of it was very, very surprising. Ultimately, you're trying to dig inside and try to figure out exactly what has gone wrong. I think a larger issue is that, and I know the Marcus Smart thing did not work out, mostly because he was injured all the time, but the Grizzlies and the Brooklyn Nets are the only 2 teams in the league that do not have a player 30 or older. And I referenced this during the broadcast against Golden State. you get into these high leverage situations. You look at Golden State. Now, I know it's not the championship team from years ago, but you still have Steph Curry. You still have Draymond Green, and Steve Kerr is coaching them. How many playoff games do those guys have? How much playoff experience do they have? And then you look on the other side, and the Grizzlies don't have that. They don't have that OG who has been to the finals or has had deep runs into the playoffs and is explaining to guys, hey, guys, it's 48 minutes. It's attention to detail. It's not getting hung up on screens. It's game plan discipline. Those are the things that are going to make a difference in these high leverage situations. And I think that is probably as big a contributor as anything to why this thing has kind of gone off the rails.
Don't forget, Golden State also picked up Jimmy Butler.
Exactly.
Who was dynamite and has played in NBA championship series. So it is a different animal. And I hate to say it, but two of the guys I think that Zach Kleiman was really counting on this year when Marcus Smart became an expendable entity are Gigi Jackson, who until just this past week was in the G League, and Vince Williams, who's not been the player that the Grizzlies, I think, hoped he would be. Those are two guys that you might have thought were going to become key parts of this rotation that are no longer part of this rotation. Neither of them played in the game against Golden State, which was a must-win game.
Yeah, I mean, Vince was out due to illness, but I mean, even Vince, his offensive game has not been there. He has not been as good as he was last year. Again, you talk about Gigi Jackson and Vince Williams Jr., they performed very well last year, but that was essentially a lost season, okay, and they were spotlighted. They had more minutes. They had more opportunity. This is a different situation. Last year, you're not battling for a playoff position. This year, you are. And obviously, Vince had missed a ton of games because of the sprained ankle, and Gigi Jackson just came back and just, outside of maybe a couple of good offensive games, really struggled, so they sent him down to the G League. So, yeah, those are two wings that you're missing that, you really had high hopes for. And the other piece, too, is that you cannot overstate how important Brandon Clark was to this Grizzlies defense. His ability to switch, his ability to defend multiple positions. When you look at some of the late-game heroics where the Grizzlies got a stop on the last play of the game, it was Brandon Clark who was there, who was able to switch and get a stop on a potential game-winning shot for the other team. You don't have him now, and so that's another loss that I think, Brandon's value to this team is far more than the little pop-up jumpers in the lane, which obviously has been great for the Grizzlies offensively, but defensively, I think he took a step forward this year, and the Grizzlies are missing that at this moment.
Much has been said about Morant, Bane, and in particular ED2 not flourishing in the system that the departing assistant coaches and Taylor Jenkins were a part of. Do you think they will be better served by what Thomas is going to try to do now? Is there anybody else that's the beneficiary of system changes here?
Well, it's interesting because there's so much confusion and so much smoke and mirrors around who is responsible for this, that, or the other, and who wants to play this way, who wants to play that way. I've talked with Thomas, and he said, look, I am a pragmatist. Whatever works for us is what we're going to run. So, is that more pick and roll? Is it going to be a little bit more pace? And Thomas's basic philosophy is he's not against the pick and roll. He's like, we want to do pick and roll, but we want to have extra movement by the other players that are not necessarily involved in the pick and roll, and we want to do it quickly. We want to do it with good pace. So I think Thomas is going to be someone who will be malleable in terms of what his players can do and what their strengths are. So I think everybody, hopefully, should be of benefit with his system. When you look at what he did in Europe last year with Paris basketball, their offensive rating was 126 points per 100 possessions, one of the highest that's ever been recorded in professional basketball. So he's an outstanding offensive coach, and hopefully now that things have kind of shaken out, he can put more of his stamp on this. But as he said, we have limited practice time. We only have a few games. We can't overhaul what we have.
Right.
So hopefully they can put some fine points on it and get some wins, because that's most definitely needed.
Well, beyond the offensive side, defensively, my goodness, I don't know if that's his expertise at all, but let's see. They gave up 45 in the first quarter to L.A. at home. They gave up 45 in the first quarter to Golden State at home. Offense doesn't seem to me to be the biggest problem here. I know you mentioned Brandon Clark already, but defense, what can they do with that? Because that's killing them.
I think better game plan discipline. I think sometimes guys are trying so hard to overhelp. I think that's part of it. You overhelp, and then you leave somebody above the break to shoot a three or in the corner to shoot a three, which percentage-wise is the easiest three-point shot on the floor. I think it's game plan discipline. It is the ultimate refusal to be screened, to fight through screens, to be a little bit more dogged in your defensive effort. I think all those things are going to have to come together. The other thing, too, is the Grizzlies now are suffering from the fact that their defensive reputation isn't very good. So teams walk into a game, and they know that they're going to get good three-point looks. So they walk in with a level of comfort, and the Grizzlies defensively have not made anybody uncomfortable lately. So, even mentally, Golden State comes in, they go, hey, we know we're going to get good three-point looks. So you walk in with that expectation, we're going to get good looks, we're going to knock them down because of the reputation or because of the statistics that follow the Grizzlies defensively. So, Miami's going to walk into this game, and Duncan Robinson's going to go like, I'm going to get some good looks tonight. Tyler Hero says, I'm going to get some good three-point looks tonight. It's going to be incumbent upon the Grizzlies to make them uncomfortable, to provide some, as Taylor Jenkins would say, defensive friction for Miami. Then they're coming off of just a dominant performance against Boston last night.
Well, the three looks that the Warriors got, in particular Steph Curry, he would have gotten those against the greatest defensive team in the history of the NBA. He's literally shooting from 38 feet away. I mean, you're not stopping that dude. That was that's one of the few games that I've been to this year. Watched the game, and just I'm always amazed by Steph Curry, but was even more amazed by him. Those logos that say FedEx Forum that are about 38 feet away, he was taking them from there every time. I mean, the guy is unstoppable. You just gotta tip your cap to those.
Yeah, I mean, you don't typically expect somebody to go for that big a number against you, 50 plus, but the Grizzlies had their opportunities, and if not for Curry going supernova Curry, maybe the Grizzlies win that game. I mean, in stretches they played exceptionally well, but you just had a Hall of Fame player have a Hall of Fame night.
No doubt. Pete, enjoy South Florida while you can, and we will talk again next Thursday. Last thing, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
6 games left, sitting at 8 right now, but you're so close to 6. What does it take to get to 6? I don't know if you can get to 5. What does it take to get to 6 out of the 6 games? How many you got to win?
I think you got to win at least 3, and certainly you got to beat Minnesota, because that's going to be somebody that you're going to try to jump over to get into the top 6. So I think you have to go at least 500 to give yourself a chance.
He's Pete Pranica, is the voice on TV of the Memphis Grizzlies. A good job, by the way, in the TNT game. I enjoyed that, too. And we'll chat next Thursday.
Sounds good.
All right, that's Pete Pranica down in Miami. Couple of quick notes. I don't know if you saw it, but Shohei Ohtani last night, Ohtani hits a walk-off home run against Atlanta. The guy's amazing. The Dodgers are now 8-0. The poor Braves are 0-7, but the Dodgers off to one of their greatest starts. They are 8-0. Alex Ovechkin last night scored a goal. He's now got 892. He is 3 away from tying the great one, Wayne Gretzky. Can't wait to see that. It's going to happen. There's no doubt about that. And every time he scores a goal, you will see a break-in, I think, on ESPN. I hope they do, because this is a momentous occasion for the sport of hockey. And I didn't mention it, but we're going to talk about this with Ron Higgins momentarily. Ole Miss able to keep Chris Beard away from Texas A&M. So Beard is getting a boost in salary and a boost for his NIL packages. which is very good news for the Ole Miss Rebels. We'll start there with our friend Ron Higgins in a moment. We are sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. The event is over, but we got a new sale. You know Family Leisure. Family and fun come together. Always sales. It's pool time. They are already booking installations for 2025. Get your order in now so you get priority on the installation list. And we're talking about 24-foot pools. With this sale, they're under $2,000, and that means with installation. They're throwing that in. Lighters start at $299. All pool accessories up to 20% off. You got to start thinking it's going to be 80 degrees even with the rain today. You got to start thinking about chlorine and all the chemicals that go with this. Mention this ad, by the way. You get free installation, and patio furniture's up to 50% off on selected sets. Please head on over to I-40 and Wooden Road. See our friends at Family Leisure. We venture down south. We go to Baton Rouge. Our SEC historian is standing by. We'll talk Chris Beard and Ole Miss and the Final Four. That comes your way in just a minute.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Corky's barbecue. Cooking it up. Down home way. Hickory smoke flavor like the good old days.
Hey y'all, Jimmy Stovall here with Corky's Barbecue. With over 175,000 cars served in our drive-thru, 4,000 online pickup orders, and 1,500 party packs delivered to offices and events every year. Corky's is a trusted go-to barbecue for parties. Our party packs start at just $6.99 per person. You can choose 1, 2, or 3 meal combos and pick your favorite sides. And as you know, Corky's always gives you plenty of food, so you never worry about running out. Whether it's pickup or delivery, we got you covered. Corky's makes it easy to impress your guests. Visit Corky'sMediaFood.com to order for your next day.
Uncorked flavor. Corky's barbecue.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-694-1127. 800-694-1127. That's 800-694-1127.
When you're working outdoors, unpredictability is the norm, so tackle the toughest jobs with the 2025 Honda Pioneer 700. This rugged side-by-side lifts power to any party with reliable tools to tow and smooth shifting through trails. And you can choose between 3 trails, standard, Polaris, or the Trinity with First Edition. Ultimate Outdoors Adventures. See the 2025 Honda Pioneer 700 today at Casino Honda, 5657 Road,
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshyn.
All we hear is Radio Gaga.
We head down south, Baton Rouge. Our good friend Ron Higgins joins us now. Just off of rehab, the double hip replacement thing, a success story. When are you going to take your first swing with the golf club?
They told me that I can start swinging. I can start hitting chip shots and putt, and probably by around June 1st, I can start taking swings.
That's
So,
amazing. And you just, when was the day you had the double hip replacement?
Valentine's Day morning. Yeah,
That
7 weeks after.
that
7 weeks from. Yeah.
that's incredible. That is I think a story that you go, if you're going to do it, do them both at the same time. Ron Higgins could do it. Why not you? So there
Absolutely.
you go.
You don't want to go back and do it the second one like 6 months later. You want to do them both at the same time. Believe me.
All right, so
Yeah.
let's talk about there was an opening. Buzz Williams kind of flattened out in College Station. He left Texas A&M. He went to Maryland. There was a lot of controversy with the Maryland job where their coach Willard jumped to go to Villanova after he had complained that Maryland wasn't contributing enough to the program. And Buzz Williams said, I don't care. I think I can get that kind of commitment from the school. I'll go take that job. That left A&M open. I believe they did go after Chris Beard, who's got a lot of Texas ties, and they didn't get him. Ole Miss came up with money for him and for NIL. What a win for the Ole Miss program, huh?
That's a huge win. I mean, most time, Ole Miss will lose coaches. I mean, and look, Chris Beard could have said, you know what, I'd love to go to A&M so I can beat Texas, but,
Right.
Well,
he can do that at Ole Miss, though. They are in the same league.
Yeah, but I mean, just make it really personal. But A&M's when you're at A&M and playing in Texas, it's a little more personal. And good for him. I mean, I think he's a hell of a coach. I mean, my God, he got him to the finals, the regional finals, which was, the furthest they've ever gone. I mean, before there was the Sweet 16, and I covered with Rod Barnes in Arizona. That's the furthest they got. He did a great job. He really did. And good for Ole Miss. I mean, I'm glad they kept a really good coach. I mean, and he's going to do nothing but good. It's not going to go down. I mean, he'll continue to recruit really well. Good players. He'll be in this thing every year now, as long as he's there.
I tend to think that's right. Who do you think goes to A&M? That job is not been filled, right?
Yeah, I haven't been filled. That's a good question. I saw the guy at Illinois. His name was it Brett Underwood? That's his name.
Yeah.
His name was mentioned, and somebody else. I think it was like maybe a mid-major.
I'm not sure why Underwood would leave Illinois for A&M. I guess money. A&M's got plenty of money, but the University of Illinois is in the Big Ten. They haven't been forever. I've never understood why they haven't recruited the Chicago area better than they do, honestly. But it would seem to me that's a lateral move at best in my mind. I don't know why Underwood would do it unless A&M made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Yeah, so other than that, I mean, Kelvin Sampson's son at Houston, his name has been mentioned. His assistant, his son was an assistant.
I can't see that happening because honestly, I believe the last time they extended Kelvin Sampson's contract, it was written in that he gets to replace Kelvin. I'll tell you what, I like him a lot. I'm glad you mentioned his name. I've had several conversations, the whole radio crew, the Memphis radio crew. We used to talk with him. Because there's a weird thing. Houston does this. They got 2 or 3 guys that don't play in games, right? They're red-shirted or they're injured and they're rehabbing. And before the game, about an hour before the game, Kelvin Sampson's son brings them out, and he puts them through a workout you wouldn't believe. And he's a very amenable guy. He's got a nice personality. Comes over, he BS's with you, but he knows how to coach, and he's learned from his dad. And I believe that the deal with Kelvin was that his son gets the gig if he sticks around because he had places he could have gone. And so I don't think Kelvin Sampson's kid is going to go anywhere. He's going to replace Kelvin at Houston.
So it's a wide open job that they may get somebody maybe thought of. I don't know if it's a job for an assistant anyway. I think that's a head coaching job, and I think you need to go hire a head coach from somewhere else. That's always hard. So we'll see how that one plays out.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the Final Four. Auburn plays Florida again, 1 game this year, and Florida beat them at Auburn by 9. The Gators are favored by 2.5. It guarantees there will be an SEC team in the championship game. Sort of break down what you think happens in that game.
Well, I mean, I just like Florida's athleticism all the way through. They don't have I like Auburn, but most of Auburn's stuff runs through Johnny Broome. And that's fine. Kind of a little bit 2 different styles, kind of. I mean, Florida's not so much that. I mean, Florida's got a bunch of athletic guys. Even their tall guys are athletic. I think Florida. I'm going to stick with what myself and me. It's going to be Florida versus Houston. I'm going to stick with that. I am. That's how
I had it, but I'm starting to doubt the Duke Houston game. First of all, I didn't have Duke in it. They are now the strongest of the number ones, it seems to me. They are actually 5.5-point favorites against that ferocious defense of Houston that limited a team in Tennessee to 50 points when they averaged 74. But everybody is on Duke now to win the national title. But you believe Houston is going to beat Duke.
Yeah, I do. I think this will give him more incentive. Like we've come this far, and all these people don't believe in us. Really, haven't they seen us? Our defense? Haven't they seen our 3-point shooting? I think Houston goes out there with a chip on its shoulder. I really do.
So, if it's Houston and Florida, who do you think wins the national title?
Well, I pick Florida, but it's going to be a great game. Florida's it's played good, but it hasn't played great. It's relied on some 2 or 3 comebacks in the NCAA tournament. Sometimes you feel like at the Final Four, you exhale a little bit, like, okay, we're here. Let's whatever happened before in this tournament, let's put it behind us, and we got 2 games to go. I just like a lot of faith in Florida, but I like Houston over Duke. I think Houston comes out with a chip on his shoulder and saying, you know what? No, we're not a blue blood. Okay, we got it, and we know everybody loves Duke. They love Duke. They love Cooper Flag. We love him, and I think they come out and play just lights out. I really do.
So if you had to choose player of the year, I don't think there's any doubt. It comes down to Janai Broome and it comes down to Cooper Flag. Who would be your vote?
Probably Cooper Flag. I mean, the guys are, maybe the number 1 player in the draft coming out. I mean, he's got a lot of skills. I mean, that's not the Johnny Broome's had a great year. I mean, the Auburn would not be there without him. But I'll say Cooper Flag.
I go the other way. I think, and I could make an argument either. Really, they're both incredible. I'd even go co-players of the year, to be honest with you.
I'd like to see that. I would be all for that.
Auburn
it's a part.
Was the overall number 1 seed going into the tournament, and he's the best player on that team, where Flag is the best on the second number 1 team. I give him that, and I have a sweet spot for Broome because I watched him when he was just an average player. I'm not sure I've seen a guy get better in 2 years than Janai Broome.
It's fun to watch guys develop. He started with a mid-major. Where was he? I mean, he bet on himself to go to a major, and has played great. He's got a great body, and he's got really good skills. I mean, he can shoot outside. He's a great passer. Got good basketball IQ. There's a lot to like about him.
The NCAA tournament for the second time in history, the first one the Tigers were involved in 2008, was all number 1s. This was a very chalky NCAA tournament. Your thoughts about the competition in this year's Cinderella theater that we normally get, we didn't get this year?
And I don't know if you're ever going to get it again, as long as the teams with the most money can buy the best players.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the way it's going to be in almost basically every sport in college sports. The teams that, have the most money to buy players, they can get the best players, they probably have a good chance of winning. And I mean, I hate to see that element taken out of it because you always love the chance that somebody could sneak through and make it interesting and have somebody sort of an underdog you can pull for. But there's no underdogs here. Like I said, when I looked at that bracket, when they released a bracket the first day, I thought, I don't know if there's anybody beyond the second seed that can get to the NCAA finals. I mean, the line of demarcation was so clear. With 1 and 2 and the rest of the field, I thought there's nobody else who's got a really chance. It would turn out to be all ones.
It's interesting. The women's are the same way. I mean, the women's tournament is 3 number 1s and a number 2, and UConn is actually a 7.5-point favorite now over UCLA, the number 1 and the other one. South Carolina is a 5.5-point favorite over Texas. That's 2 number 1s going at it, and there's NIL in the women's game too.
Yeah. I'll go UConn and South Carolina in the final. UConn's playing really good. South Carolina hadn't dropped off any. Honestly, UConn should destroy UCLA. LSU lost to UCLA, and LSU just kind of didn't guard the three-point line. Had a chance to put them away in the second quarter when they got the big girl in foul trouble. Didn't do it.
Right.
UConn's really good.
But that
UConn
Lauren Betts, that 6'8" post player that was in foul trouble against LSU, she's a heck of a player now. I don't think they have an answer for her, but I'm not sure anybody's got an answer for Paige Beckers and what's her name? The girl, is it Strong?
Yeah.
Sarah Strong, I think it is.
Yeah.
She's pretty good inside, but now she's up against 6'8".
I think Betts is okay. LSU did a really good job on her. They got her in foul trouble, and all she did was back people in. I really like UConn. I do. I think UConn's really, really good.
Are they going to beat South Carolina if that's the matchup?
That's going to be a great game. I don't know. I got to think about that one. South Carolina has played good this year, but not invincible like in the past. That's why I think the door's open there.
We shall see. That is for sure. As always, it's a pleasure. I'm so glad that your progress is so rapid in your rehab with the double hips. And when we talk next week, we will have champions. We'll talk about that for sure.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate it. That's our SEC historian down in Baton Rouge. That is Ron Higgins. He's brought to you by the good folks at Grind City. Grind City Brewing. Try the Gator Patrol. That's the sweet, tart, sour with a cream. Oh, yeah. It's totally blended. It's totally cool. It's a great product. It's a part of the taste of Memphis now. It's iconic just like Grind City is. And by the way, the grounds of Grind City are a little wet today. You might not want to go down there and picnic, but you could go visit the Modern Brewery, and you'll see it's got a beautiful view of downtown Memphis and of the bridges and a part of the water on the river. And they are now going to make that a venue for concerts on a regular basis. They're building a beautiful stage. It's just a great place. Go check out the product. Go check out the view. Go see Grind City Brewing just north of downtown Memphis. We pause for a second. When we come back, we actually head downtown on Mud Island. That's where Jarvis Greer lives, and that's where we go next on Wolo and Friends.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports Events, Sports 56 and 95 FM.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students.
It is too. I am not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that April is just one of the great months to sit outside at Central Barbecue.
I didn't say there weren't other great months to sit outside at Central Barbecue locations.
And there are a lot of them, and they all have outdoor seating.
I don't think you had to interrupt me for that. What I'm saying is April is particularly great because it's the first month where we can sit outside in Memphis.
And South Haven?
Stop interrupting me. I was going to say South Haven.
No, you weren't. You always forget about South Haven.
I resent that.
Hey, I produce these. You want me to back the tape up?
No. It's still the best month to sit outside at Central Barbecue.
We always end our Thursdays heading downtown to talk to the Hall of Famer Jarvis Greer. Jarvo, the Ja story keeps getting more and more interesting. I think lately it's much ado about nothing, but Jay Mariotti, the columnist, used to work for the Chicago newspaper. Now I don't know if he's syndicated, but he's got some platforms that he's on. He's written a story that Josh should be banned the rest of the year, maybe even further, for the gun gesture for hitting the three. He aimed it at the bench, aimed it right back. This stuff is kind of silly to me. He certainly does not deserve any kind of suspension for this, but I'd like your take on Ja and the gesture. And are we picking on, is the national media picking on Ja?
Hey, Dave, I think it's a move. It's a further move. I think they want to try to get Ja out of Memphis. They want to get him to a big market team.
Who's they when you say
they? A lot of it was, if you look at the ESPN media, they gravitate toward L.A. and New York and Boston and Miami. Two big markets that got a lot of people and a lot of eyes there. I wouldn't. Chicago's not someplace right now because they're a long way down the road. The Bulls are a long way down the road to get back to the path where they're competitive. But I just think that it's much ado about nothing, because if you look at the Twitter sphere, you see that they've been posting pictures of Steph Curry, LeBron James, the point guard, the All-Star point guard with the Knicks, all doing the same thing, and they all do it, and it just is taken away from what was a fantastic basketball game at the Forum the other night. And it was chippy, and it was everything you wanted, playoff intensity and all that good stuff. And then somebody wants to crack down on this, and it's a move to I think the larger move is somebody is trying to get Ja out of Memphis, and they want to get him to a big market.
See, I do think they're picking on him. I think there's a national mentality that there is a thug thing to Ja. I don't necessarily buy that. I think it's the culture. Everybody in the NBA does this look at me kind of thing. If they do what they're being paid to do.
If they're going to ban finger guns, they ought to ban guns.
Well, exactly. Hey, I agree with you. But I can't buy this conspiracy thing. I can't buy that there is a thing at ESPN that they're going.
Oh no, there's
a
move,
Ja
Dave.
In a bigger market.
There's a move, Dave. They want it, and it's not the first time that it's happened with a star player that's in a smaller market. It's not the first time. They want a lot of rumors get put out on this and that against some players, and they're trying to get them because they want them to play at their place.
So the Lakers are paying Jay Mariotti to put out stuff like this? I mean, come on.
I don't have to pay him. I mean, Jay Mariotti spends a lot of time in L.A., and that's a big market, and that's where that's where the TV partners make their money. So come on. I mean, come on. It ain't the first time it's happened, and Ja's not the first player it's happened.
No. The first player that I remember doing that was Kareem. He wanted to go back to L.A. He was from New York. He did not like living in the small town of Milwaukee. He didn't like the weather, so he had the ability to make it happen because he was the best player in the league. I think Shaq wanted out of Orlando because he wanted to be a rap star and a movie star, so he moved to L.A. But that's the player himself wanting to move. This is not. The way you're putting it is that there are entities in bigger markets that are part of the media that are going, "Oh, we got to move Ja." You think you think Adam Silver thinks Ja needs to be in a bigger market?
I don't think it's Adam Silver. I don't think it goes that high up, but I do believe that there are some entities that want, they want the top stars to be in the top market, and Ja's a moneymaker. Ja's jersey, one of the top jersey sellers in the world, not just in the United States and not just in Memphis. So,
he's fun to watch. I mean, that was a show the other night, and, and unfortunately,
it was a show.
He was. There was a little more showmanship that came from Steph Curry making shots from the logos.
Steph Curry is. That's why he's the all-time leader in three-point shooting. He is the greatest shooter the world has ever known. And it's true fact. And we saw the show that he put on when they were in the playoffs. We saw the show he put on in the Olympics. And then we get to see Golden State come through here twice a year, which is fantastic for Memphis. And what a great stretch. Even though the Grizzlies didn't win, you had the Blue Bloods, if you want to call them that. You had the legacy franchises of the NBA come through Memphis back to back to back with the Lakers, the Celtics, and Golden State.
You did.
And if you don't want to say the franchise, you had the players with LeBron and Luka, Jason Tatum, and and then Steph Curry, back to back to back right here in our building, which was just fantastic. It was fantastic.
Give me your sense, because I don't remember us talking about it. It happened after we had spoken last week about the change. Jenkins gone, Thomas Isola in, and Isolo, I'm sorry.
Isolo. Thomas Isolo. Well, it's the main thinking was, if the Grizzlies flamed out and had a first-round exit, that Taylor Jenkins would be gone. And that would be understandable in that, from where they started to where they are, it's like, okay, the team finally flamed out. He had gone as far as he could go. And that was kind of the consensus thinking around Taylor Jenkins. To do it right now, that's kind of a shock, and it's kind of a surprise. But it's like you've heard in business, once you've made up your mind that this isn't going to work, you go ahead and do it. And that's what the Grizzlies did. Waiting doesn't really gain you anything. If you make up your mind that this is the way it is, the only thing about it is you replace him with a guy in Isolo who was already on your bench. And they let Noah LaRoche go and one of the other assistants too. And it's like, well, was this his entire offense? The word is that no, it wasn't. But he's still there, and it's kind of the same voice. But I don't know. They're going to see. He's got a little bit of an audition here to see what he can do with this. They don't have any practice time because their games are coming basically boom, boom, boom like they do in the NBA. So you don't have really a whole lot of time to restructure what you're trying to do. But the team has looked a bit more engaged, wouldn't you say, in the last couple of games?
I think their offense actually looked better. Edie's definitely looked better. Jaws looked better, but their defense is worse. They gave them 45 in the first quarter to the Lakers, 45 in the first quarter to the Golden State Warriors. I can't remember what they did in the first quarter.
They had the lead against the Celtics. That's the one.
Okay.
30-25, I think.
I kind of. I don't know. I believe the commercial appeal beat writer DeMichael Cole said on the morning show this morning he thought that Isolo had a 40% chance of becoming the head coach. He hasn't won a game yet, so I'm sitting here going, really? You think that? Don't you think the Grizzlies would go with this core if they're that committed and spend a little money on a coach? I mean, I know Robert Parra can afford it. How many tens of billions is he worth now?
Well, it just depends. There's still time. It's not like, they're not going to the postseason. They are going to go.
Right now, they're an 8 in the play-in.
Yeah, well, they're tied. It's 6, 7, 8.
Right.
Who is it? Memphis, Golden State.
Yeah,
Memphis,
but
Golden State, Minnesota.
I think by tiebreak there, if the playoffs started today, they would be playing the Clippers in the 7-8 game.
Yeah, they would be playing the Clippers. They still got a few games left, and the Clippers got a couple of tough ones. The Grizzlies got a couple of tough ones as well. And plus, don't forget that last game against Dallas. Dallas is not what Dallas was, but they got Anthony Davis back playing, and Grizzlies have had all kind of trouble with him, and he's still one of the best big men in the association.
They got tonight on the road. They're favored. They'll be favored in Charlotte on the road. There's 2 games
that's going to be
winnable.
tough. Miami, after they got absolutely cremated by the Grizzlies, and their second to last win, they got cremated here 125-91 again on Tony Allen night. They have since won 6 in a row. So, that could be a buzzsaw you're running into down there with the Heat.
All right.
And none of this is going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be very difficult. But if they get the kind of effort that they got in that last game against, and they actually shot a lot better against Golden State. If they get that kind of effort and shoot any kind of decent percentage, they'll have a chance to win. The majority of these games going down the stretch. But that's the big if. And the thing about it, the offense may look at, but defense has been bad since about a week before the All-Star break, and they learned some bad habits during that time, and that's going to be the toughest thing to change. Can they get that turned around is the biggest question. It's not the offense, because offense can come and go, but defense is supposed to travel, right? And if they can get the defense back to where, where they were during the season, then they'll have a chance. They'll have a chance to go on and do what, we had hoped that they would do at the beginning of the season. But that's the big if, because, once you lose it, it's really hard to get it back.
P.J. Haggerty today, named by CBS second-team All-American again. He's back in town. He was shooting. He went to his dentist, that's a good thing. Maybe he's going to commit and stay here. I think he's going to. But another honor for Haggerty. He's probably going to cost somewhere between $1.5 million and $2 million in NIL money.
It's going to cost whatever it's going to cost. You got to pay the cost to be the boss. James Brown said that famous thing, one of his many number one hits. Well, he was, on top of the world. And, the biggest thing is PJ has not entered the transfer portal yet. Now, he could still do it, but he hasn't done it yet. And, as long as he stays out of it, that's a good sign for Memphis.
They got 19 days still to go before you can enter ending the portal. Entering, not leaving, but entering the portal. You got 19 days left for that. By the way, how about, speaking of portal, William Whitlow, the defensive lineman who had gone into the portal, got offers from schools like Oklahoma, West Virginia, Penn State. The defensive lineman decided after a long conversation with Memphis coaches that he's staying.
A long conversation with his bank representatives. I put it that way. I think they decided to, hey, look, we want you. We want you to be a feature piece of this defense. And, that's something. You say, William Whitlow Jr., somehow he finds a way to get there in the backfield and do some disruptive work, even though he is an undersized defensive end. And if you look at the names of the schools that were trying to get him, they believe the dude can play. And we saw, he definitely can wreak havoc out there, and they need some centerpieces to work around, with all the people that they're losing on defense to graduation. So, great to have William Whitlow Jr. back. And, you still got Cortland Marsh, who's still back there, the defensive back who was hurt most of the year, but came in at the end of the season and played tremendously. Remember that Tulane game, Dave, down there in New Orleans, where he intercepted a pass and then broke up another one, got a fumble, and then was really big in the bowl game against West Virginia that the Tigers won. So they've got some pieces over there. They really believe on defense that they can even be better than what they were last year, which is that would be great.
Spring game, April 26th. You and I will be there, and we will call that a portion of that game.
Yeah, it's a 3 o'clock kick, right?
Yeah,
I think it's 3 o'clock.
I think that's right. Or 3 o'clock stretch, let's put it like that. Plus, which, and you'll talk more about this next week, there is a Courage Through Cancer 5K that you are involved with. 10 seconds, give me the update.
Really quickly, it's April 26th out at Shelby Farms. It's the Gina Hollenbeck 5K run. All you runners out there, go to ctcmemphis.org. That is ctccattagercat.org. CatTigerCatMemphis.org, ctcmemphis.org. You can go there and get all your running information. It's one of the first big running event of the year, 5K. It'll be around the Hyde Lake out there and all through Shelby Farms Park. Going to have food trucks, going to have music, all kind of great things. You get a running bib. It's going to be a great thing to do. And I know a lot of runners out there would love to, ready to get going. This is one to do. The Gina Hollenbeck 5K on April 26th. 9 a.m. out at Shelby
Same
Farm.
day as the Tigers spring football game, which takes
9 a.m.
place
So you have time to do that and then go to the game.
There you go. Thank you much. That's Jarvis Greer. He's been brought to you by Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. 3 generations now of Garlands in the business, directing you in building or renovating your home to make it the biggest, most beautiful, most efficient modern palace in the city. Look. Go to KenGarland.com. You'll see what I'm talking about. Williams in the family now. You had Ken Sr. Ken Jr. still runs it. Williams in the family, and they all had one thing in common. They see little details in the big picture all at once. They have now so much experience and wisdom when it comes to building. They know all the new modern amenities. If you want to renovate, I call it renovation with innovation. You want the media room with the speakers in the wall and the big screens and the theater seating. They know how to put that in. You want the California closets. You want the island in the kitchen. You want the newest appliances. They know how to put all of that in. Say you got land in your family, but you're not sure how to utilize it. 3 generations of wisdom will tell you how to best utilize that tract of land. It's simple. You want to build a dream home, there's one place to do it. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Johnny Radio is right around the corner. We've got Friday tomorrow, the usual suspects. We'll see you bright and early. Don't forget Johnny, and have a great day, everybody.
Spring is really one of the best times of year for sports and visiting Bell Tavern, Memphis' perfect downtown neighborhood bar. The Bell Tavern is a sports bar, but with the beginning of baseball, the stretch run for the Grizzlies, and everything else that's going on, there is simply no better